All right, so Trump is going to add more and more tariffs, 25% on Mexico, 25% on goods of Canada, and 10% extra on top of the already installed tariffs on products from China. This is your favorite half Chinese. Let's first determine what tariffs actually are, because Americans don't seem to understand what it actually is. You have to see it like an extra import tax. So, what happens when China is sending off goods? It comes at the border, and the company that comes and picks it up, or for who it picks it up, needs to pay that tariff. That means it is always American companies that need to pick up that bill. So, what happens? For example, a product is $10 and they're selling it for 12.50. So they make a profit margin of $2.50. Now Trump adds 25% tariffs on it. So now the product has become from $10 has gone rising up the price to 12.50. Now obviously the company cannot sell it anymore for 12.50. So probably it will become like $15. They might add some extra on it while they're at it. So you will come at 15 or $16 for the product that actually was 12.50. So this is what Americans are going to experience extra on top of it. And they were already experiencing it, because I saw on TikTok a lot of these Americans crying, literally crying, because they cannot make ends meet, because the prices has gone through the roof. Well, that's also partly due to all these tariffs that you put on China, because China is bringing in major goods into your country, and your companies have to pay all those tariffs, and you are going to pay for it, the consumer. It always will be like that. It is not that China is going to give you the 250 back. That is not going to happen. Canada is also not going to do that. Neither is Mexico. That's not how tariffs work. So, what exactly will his goal be? Well, maybe he thinks that companies will suffer and therefore will come to the United States to settle there. And this way you can get jobs. Well, that's not going to happen. And the reason is very simple. You are making life so expensive in the United States that it is not sustainable for any manufacturer to come over. Because, let's face it, they need to build a factory, right? Now, on all these goods that they need to build the factory, they have to pay 25% more, because a lot of that stuff is coming from Canada, where you build houses with, right? And you need that to build your factory. It's 25% more expensive. Then you have need all those screws and all these kind of things, and a lot of that is also coming from China. All that will be more expensive than all. You see where I'm going? And that is the reason why it is not going to work. It's going to destroy their own economy. The other point that they're always missing is they say it is because it will protect their own businesses. Oh, then my question is, in what way? Because everything they produce, they need something from either one of the three countries. And for that something, they need to pay 25 or 10% more. So their prices are going to rise also through the roof. And that is the whole problem with tariffs. If he wants to have jobs back into the United States, then I would suggest to restructure the economy into a different way, shape it that investors in its current state would come over and would be happy to be manufacturing things in the United States. But we all know it is not for any of those things. What it is for? Well, if the government of the United States would tell American people, on the end of the year, I need you to pay, like, let's say, 50 billion more. And then the American people would ask, but what for? Well, for all the wars that we are having. We need to finance it so the capitalists can get some money. You know, that 1%. Like people like Elon Musk are benefiting immensely from all these wars, right? Because they need lithium and everywhere they go. Do you see what I mean? So that is what that money is going to. It is not going into your infrastructure. It is not going to benefit your own people because it is extra tax. And where does tax paying money in the United States generally going? To wars. But if they would tell you that we need you to pay 25% more on goods from Canada or from Mexico and 10% extra on the other tariffs already on goods from China because we want to have more wars or to sustain wars, prolong wars, every American would say, hell no. And rightfully so. Your money should not be going to wars. It should not be going into a humongous defense budget, or let's otherwise call a spade, a war budget. It should not be going there. Americans' money should going into the infrastructure. It should go into schooling. It should go into restructuring the economy to make it likable to all other manufacturers all around the world, that they will come with a happy smile back to the United States to do business there and give a lot of jobs to Americans. That is what tax-paying money actually should be going to. And what you get when your government will be doing that is a tremendous healthy economy, a booming one. And as evidence we have for that is China. See, the last 40 years, China wasn't in any single war. And all the little money that they got, they invested it back into their country. And what did they build with that? Best infrastructure now in the world. They have a crazy growing economy. Meanwhile, this economy in China isn't even booming as it was before, but it is still going faster than any other economy in the collective West. There you go. Nobody can say that these things are not true. And that is what you get when you invest your money back into the country and back into the people who gave that money to you to do so. And that is why China has grown out from number 11 poorest country in the world to the largest economy according to purchasing power parity since 2014. That is why every week you see people from all over the world going to meet with the government of China, not with the United States anymore. That is why you see all these kind of things happening, because they invest back into the people. They invest in building up other nations to create new potential clients. That is also something that they have been doing for a long time because they see this coming from 10,000 miles away. And that is why they have been preparing for this. That is why they go all around the world creating good relationships, and not at the barrel of the gun, but with a nice suitcase full of money. That's how China is doing it. They go into another nation and they ask them, what do you need? And they say, that's what we need. And they say, well, maybe we can give it to you if you would give me what we need. That is how they build up relationships where both parties can win and benefit. And from the money that they get from all that extra tax revenue coming in, and from the businesses that are state owned, they build up and have restructured their own economy and country until what it is today. One of the most safest countries in the world, with extreme low criminality. It is clean, mega infrastructure, Americans cannot even fathom, and people know not living on the streets, no more drug problem. It's a world apart. And I think that Americans should start to think about these kind of things instead of bolstering themselves up. We're going to punish China. To be honest, China might be selling less to the United States, but if we look at what China is doing in the rest of the world, they get over it. They have been expecting it and they have been anticipating on it. And so will Canada. Canada will just move to other markets and will remember what you've done to them. Mexico, similar, and they will remember what you've done to them. And this is how you create a very bad relationships with your direct neighbors. For your future doesn't really look bright unless you change the system. But before you do that, I would first highly recommend Americans to start to study. And I mean not watching Fox News, CNBC, ABC, NBC, CNN, no, but real solid studies about the economies and also about political systems, because the overly vast majority of Americans are clueless. And I'm not saying they're dumb people, they have their own skills, but they know nothing about economics and nothing about politics. All they know is what they are being told by their propaganda machine. And that is why they are choosing constantly for things they don't want. And that is why every election cycle, one after the other, they are disappointed because they did not get what they wanted. And they don't understand. And that is why you need to educate yourself, because obviously it's not happening in school. So that is my message to the Americans. No hate, I mean well for you. So please like my video, share, and if you have not yet, then follow. This was your favorite half Chinese, and as always, have a great day.